It's a sad day, people. I was planning to do an update on my Desert Goby today, but instead I'm making a sad announcement. My Desert Goby passed away. I'm honestly not sure what happened, but I do have a theory which I'm going to talk about a bit later. But yeah, it is a bit weird. Now, I should mention that unfortunately I don't actually have that much footage of them. You see, before I do an update or a care guide or anything like that, I like to keep the fish for a few weeks, maybe even a few months, just to make sure I know what I'm doing in that. And during that period is whenever I see something interesting, that's when I do my filming. However, the male Desert Goby passed away within the month, and the female Desert Goby vanished within the first few days. So yeah, there isn't much footage. Having said that, the female Desert Goby was genuinely tiny, so I am pretty sure that she ended up as an expensive snack. And yeah, it's the male that's the mystery, really. Now, before we start exploring and start looking into what potentially happened to my Desert Gobies, I want to talk a bit about the things that I've noted and the things that I've observed in the short amount of time that I've had these fish. Almost like a mini care guide. And first things first, people, feeding them was not an issue. I've mentioned this a few times, but this is the main food that I feed to my fish tank. It's the Prima granules that look like, there you go, it looks like this, and the Tetra Pro Color Multi Crisp, which looks like that. And yeah, there didn't seem to be any problems. Whenever I put in food, they came out straight away and started eating, and they seem to enjoy it. The other thing to mention is they do like their caves and hiding spots, so definitely make sure you have loads of hiding spots if you are planning to get them. There are loads of ways you can make caves and hiding spots. I mean, first things first, you can buy a fake cave. Some of them look kind of fake, so they're not that good, but you can get some natural looking ones. Like Lily's cave is actually a fake cave, but it looks so cool, I love it. However, you can also put some rocks together, you can kind of pile them up and make small caves there. Of course, there's the small danger that if they do move, that one of the rocks can fall on the fish, so maybe keep that in mind. And then of course you can use some wood, you can get some roots and stuff. They sometimes create some really cool little mini caves that look really natural. And you can also get these fake rocks that have loads of smaller holes in them, but for me personally, I don't really like to use them because I don't know, I've seen it before where fish get stuck in those smaller holes. So I kind of prefer, if I am going to use anything big, then that they have bigger holes where the fish can actually go in and out easily. I don't know why I mentioned about it being fake, because if you have a real rock but it also has small holes in that, you could have the same problem. And trust me, it does happen. Now, naturally, because they do like their caves, at the start when you first introduce them to your tank, especially if there are other fish already in there, they are going to be a bit nervous and they may hide away for the first few days. However, once they get comfortable, they should start coming out. I mean, my one were fairly active. I saw the male almost every day before he passed away. Now, the last thing I want to mention about them is their color. And people, wow, honestly, their colors are so unique. I mean, it's just so bright. Like, the footage I'm putting over the screen is not edited, people. This is genuinely how this Desert Goby looked in my fish tank, and it's just a whole new level. I mean, yeah, you've got fish like rainbow fish and Congo tetras, which also have incredible colors, but it's just different when it's a goby, because the goby is such a different shape. And my tank is planted, so that contrast between the green plants and then the black substrate and then the wood in the back, and oh, it just looked amazing, man. I definitely recommend Desert Gobies to anyone who can keep them in their tank. I guess the only thing that could happen is smaller fish that could fit in their mouth could end up as snacks, so that's something you want to think about. But all in all, they are amazing. Before we carry on, if you want to see more videos like this every single week, then please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps me out. But yeah, anyway, now it's time to explore what actually happened to this Desert Goby, because people, I'm telling you, it was completely fine for like 2 to 3 weeks. Like, he was eating every day, he was swimming about, he looked healthy. I literally just woke up one morning and the light was turning on and the dead body was there. It's really weird. Now, of course, losing fish can be a normal thing as well. Sometimes it's really hard to pinpoint what actually happened, but I did make a small list with the most common problems, so let's look at them first. And the first thing is whether they're freshwater, because you see, the thing is with gobies, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot are like brackish species. I'm pretty sure I made that mistake with my Dragon Goby. I think he was a brackish species, but I put him in my freshwater tank, and even though he survived for quite a few months, eventually it just kind of caught up to him, or I'm not really sure. But yeah, with the Desert Gobies, they are freshwater. I double checked again because initially I thought, oh, did I make the same mistake again? But no, they are definitely fresh water, so the water was fine. Also, in regards to tank mates, they really did seem to get along with everyone. I mean, in regards to the bottom dwellers, like they didn't bother the corridorers. When the Hillstream loaches came out, they didn't bother them. Then naturally some of the fish, they come to the bottom as well when the food is there. And honestly, the desert gobies, they just minded their own business. Like I said, the female pretty much vanished on the second day, so I only got to watch her for like a day. But the male one, there was no aggression at all from both directions. The desert goby didn't attack anyone and nothing was attacking it. Well, kind of. Like, there is only one real theory that I have. I do have my reasons for this as well, so I guess the best way to explain it is like this. You see, usually when you introduce a new fish into a fish tank, they spend the first few days exploring, because it's a new environment, it's their new home, and they start exploring so they can find a nice little cave or some place where they can make their home. And like I mentioned, the desert goby likes caves, so naturally he started looking around the whole tank and started going into all the little gaps and cracks and all of that. And I think I've done a fairly good job of making sure there's loads of hiding spaces and loads of mini caves in my fish tank, but for some reason they always seem to gravitate towards the two main caves that I have in my tank, which are the two fake caves, and that also includes Lily's cave. And yeah, I think Lily's a bit territorial when it comes to her cave. I mean, if you've watched my other videos, like my dragon goby got attacked by my moray eel, she literally bit off his tail, and I'm pretty sure that's because he went exploring inside her cave. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Lily did attack the desert goby if he did go inside of that cave. I think that might be what happened, because the desert goby seemed to stick towards the right side of the tank. However, a few days before he passed away, I did see him chilling near Lily's cave, and then one time he was literally right outside her cave and she even came out. And I even remember thinking at the time, I was like, I don't think I've seen him near that cave before. Like, is this the first time he's exploring that cave? And if it was the first time, maybe Lily defended her territory and in the process ended up taking the desert goby's life. Now, don't get me wrong, people, I'm not saying that my tiger moray eel is this super aggressive eel, because she's really not. I mean, she has no problem with the ghost knife going into the tank or the rope fish or any of the other fish, really. The corridorers go into that cave, my Synodontus lucipinus goes into that cave. Sometimes doing feeding, when I'm like feeding her shrimps or earthworms before, the other fish would come and try to eat her food and she wouldn't really go for them. She would go kind of close to them to kind of scare them away, but she would never strike or bite the fish. The only time she did ever get really aggressive was during her little rampage. If you want to see what happened there, I'll put it up here somewhere, but there was a specific reason for that, so that wasn't her natural behavior. But I think when a new fish is introduced and that fish starts to go exploring, because Lily hasn't seen that fish before, I think that's when her territorial side comes out. But I'm also assuming this territorial stage only lasts probably for the first few days, maybe even the first few weeks. And if I had to guess, I would assume that as long as the fish can get past that first initial aggressive stage, similar to how the dragon goby survived his attack where his tail got bitten off, then they should be fine, because after that instance, the dragon goby went to the other side and made himself a cave there. And then doing feeding, when they both came out, they were perfectly fine together. Like, the moray eel did not mind the dragon goby coming right up to her face and eating food right in front of her. They were completely fine. So I think it's just the first few days when I introduce a new fish and that fish tries to go into Lily's cave, she may get territorial. I guess that's just one of the problems you're gonna have to deal with if you want an oddball tank with a few predator fish. And yeah, now there is one thing that kind of confuses me. You see, when I found the body, I was looking at it and I could not see any visible bite marks. So even though my theory is that Lily may have attacked the desert goby, there's actually no evidence of it. The only evidence I have is that the desert goby chilled near Lily's cave a few days before he passed away. So I can't really say it was Lily for sure. And like I mentioned before, sometimes fish do just pass away. But yeah, people, because the goby died within such a short amount of time, and because there is a chance that maybe it was just something else that, you know, finished off the goby, I'm thinking I may try it again. They are just so beautiful, and I guess this time I'm not going to get a small one. If they only have small ones, then I won't get any. I'll only get the bigger ones. I don't know, people. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Should I try it again, or should I see this as a sign that desert gobies are not going to work in my oddball community tank? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And if you want to see the day I got my desert goby, then click right here.